lose a millimetre of your medulla oblongata, which goes through here, and you're dead, which is how people died in hangings.
Wow.
People
Really?
died. People didn't. People think that people died in hangings because they couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Yes, but no, they died in hangings because the little bone, the axis would have a little bone called the dentoid process, which would go backwards and it would go into the brain and cut off the parts of your brain which make you breathe and make your heart beat.
That little bone.
And it was literally a few millimetres. But this part of the brain, the frontal lobe, you can lose a big chunk. And there's a really famous story that I tell my students about a guy called Phineas Gage, who was
Can we open up that, Davey, please?
Phineas Gage. He was a worker on the railroads, I don't know, 1800s, I think. And he was supposed to, when they put dynamite in the ground, then they cover it with sand and they hit it with a bar. That was his job. He put dynamite in. He forgot to put the sand in. He hit it with the bar. The bar went through his head.
Yeah,
there he is, Phineas Gage. You
Wow.
can actually go and see his skull in a museum in America, which I still want to do. It's on my bucket list. And the thing is, he lost a huge chunk of his frontal lobe, and that became a really important case for psychology because they discovered that he lost that big chunk of brain. And what happened to him? His personality changed. So he'd do weird things. And there have been cases like that ever since that I've heard of. There was a CEO in America, like recently, who had a spear gun go through his head. Same thing, CEO of a company. And he seemed fine. And then he was in a meeting with the whole board, one day. And in the middle of a meeting, he just stood up and went to the corner and did a wee. Now, that's just a personality thing. That's, to me, is amazing that you can lose a whole chunk of that and you're okay, relatively okay, but you use 2 millimetres of your medulla oblongata and you're dead because that's a part that makes you breathe and heartbeat. So different parts of the brain have different importances.